killing, bombing, maiming. Nobody really wants that. Of course, Israel wants to live in peace, but it's got to make some compromises if it does. And of course, the Palestinians want to live in peace, but they got to also recognize. Now, if the Palestinians don't want to recognize the blatant truth that regardless of what has happened, Israel today is a sovereign state. Forget about how it happened. America is a sovereign state. America took that continent the same way that Israel took Palestine. But after 200 and some odd years, the world accepts that America is a sovereign state. This country used to have 27 colonies around the world. Criminal colonies that they invaded and took and exploited. But this is still called Great Britain. It ain't that great anymore, but it's still Britain. And it's a sovereign state. Australia was taken by criminals, but today Australia is what? It's a sovereign state. South Africa, the Afrikaners, they took South Africa in the same way that America took that continent, but today what is South Africa? It's a sovereign state. So I say to the Palestinians, yo, Aki, come on, brothers, you got to recognize that's a sovereign state you're dealing with. Forget about the issue of how it came about, recognize, and then after that, let's negotiate. And Israel's got to recognize the legitimate beef, the legitimate complaints and grievances of the Palestinian people. And if both parties recognize with some powerful arbitration, we're going to wind up with some kind of an agreement. Don't you think so? Maybe they should send me over there. So, peaceful coexistence, everybody wants. And even governments want cooperation, and governments want collaboration. At the age that we're living in now, with collaborate with fiber optics and telecommunications and this whole idea of globalism, you see now, the world is now recognizing that even a great superpower cannot exist by itself. America cannot exist in a vacuum. It has to have partners. It has to make compromises. It's got to enter collaborations. Human beings are like that too. And human beings have self-realization. And that self-realization gives us a sense of distinction. Psychologists, they tell us that the ego or the identity starts to concretize itself somewhere around the time when the child is between 6 and 10 months. And what helps to concretize this identity in the human being is somebody saying the name of that person over and over and over and over. And after a while, that child starts to recognize that when that sound comes, people are smiling and stroking and holding and all that. That child starts to realize that's a nice sound. And after a while, they realize it's me. And from that time, they realize it's nice and it's me. Whenever the name is said, a good feeling comes over it. That's why when you go to an interview, you may not recognize it, but the interviewer, if they're well skilled, they're going to say your name. In a 20-minute interview, they're going to say your name at least 12 to 15 times. Hi, Bob. How you doing, Bob? You like to work for this company, Bob? Bob, what did you do? You know, which schools you went to, Bob? Bob, tell us something about your family. And Bob, so-and-so, and thank you very much, Bob. And, you know, so they say the name. To do what? To bond with you. To make you feel warm and to make you relax so you can tell them all they need to know so they don't even hire you. But it's a part of public relations. It's a part of communication. So human beings, individuals, they love self-realization. Who I am, my name, my background, my meaning in life. And governments also have this idea of self-realization. That's what independence is about. And human beings all have principles and values. Every human being follows a set of principles and values. Now, some people say I don't. I don't recognize no principles and values. I was in Finland About 3 years ago, I met a young man after the lecture. He says to me, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in no principles, no value, no nothing, no religion at all. I said, you believe in something? He said, no, I don't believe in nothing. So, you know, I was trying to like figure out how to communicate with this guy. And, you know, he wasn't like kind of like intellectual. He's kind of just like blatant. So I said, see, I can digress for a minute, huh? Good. So I said, what's your name? He told me his name. I said, let me ask you a question. You like girls? So he said, what that got to do with it? I said, no, I'm going to ask you a question. You like girls? He said, yeah. I said, you like boys? So he said, no. I said, okay, so that's one principle we identified. Now let's take it a little bit further. So I said, look, you know, if you just seen in a magazine or something, you know, like a beautiful woman, you know, voluptuous, and she had on nothing but a thong. Now, don't y'all get embarrassed now, because we just talking. We're just talking now. So she had nothing but a thong on. So how would you feel? So he said, I don't know. So I said, would you feel good? I mean, would you get a, you know, some kind of, you know, you get some reaction? So he said, yeah, probably. So I said, okay, we're moving now. Yeah, we're moving. So let me ask you a question now. Suppose you just by mistake walked in your sister's room and she was like, you know, no clothes on by mistake. Would you get a, you know, attraction? I mean, would you get some kind? He said, no. I said, why not? You say you ain't got no rules. Then he said, yeah, maybe so. See, now he remembered what he said to me. So I said, oh, maybe so, huh? Well, what about your mother? He said, maybe. I said, what about your grandmother? He said, maybe. I said, listen, hey, you know what? I think you need a psychiatrist. I said, no need for us to go further in this conversation. So what I was really trying to get at with him was that intrinsically, we all as human beings, we do have some limits. Intrinsically, we do have built into us a selective process. As human beings, we do have distinctions. As human beings, we are directed. We do have inside of us something that tells us right and wrong, left and right. We do have some moral direction. We may not call it religion, but it's built in. Almost any society you may visit, you're going to find that murder is wrong. Stealing is wrong. Why would it be wrong if all human beings have a consensus about it? Why? Because it's intrinsically, in Arabic we say it's part of our fitra. It's part of our natural disposition. Now, brothers and sisters, I know that sometimes, you know, in a lecture, you know, if the lecturer, he says some graphic things, people get a little bit upset because they didn't hear that before. But guess what? Welcome to the real world. You're going to hear and see and feel some traumatic things throughout your life, and maybe something I say may relate to that later on. And I may have a reason for saying it. You may not like it because you thought I was like a religious guy. Why is he talking like that? I never say I was a religious guy. I respect and I follow religious principles to the best of my ability, but I'm living in the real world. And from time to time, I got to deal with graphic things. If I was a plumber, I would go inside your house and put on a plastic glove and take something out of your toilet that you don't want to take out of your toilet. And I take the plastic glove off and throw it away, and you pay me 150 pounds. That's graphic, but that's my job. So this is part of my job. Governments also have principles and values, but they call it constitution and laws. Individuals conform to disciplines, and governments call it regulation and adjudication. Individuals, they love things that complement. Because, you know, as human beings, it's not enough for us to have food. We want salt and pepper. Bread is not enough. We need butter. We want things that complement. It's not enough just to have a house. We want furniture. It's not enough just to communicate. No, we need a telephone. We need TV. We need things that complement. Nothing wrong with that, because human beings seek complement. And governments, they also they promote their culture.